Okay, hello and welcome to my ratings and assessment strategy. So this is one of the strategies that I use all the time, and this should be ongoing, and you can build this into your everyday practice as you go. So this is one of the things that we need to look at. So in preparing for ratings and assessment, and I say to people all the time, and I do this, I believe that if your foundations are not, strong, or if they've got cracks in them and those sorts of things, eventually the house will crack or fall, or they will show. Your cracks will eventually show, and they can show in all different ways. They can show in a non-compliance, they can show in educators being disengaged, they can show in families being disengaged, they can show in you feeling like it's Groundhog Day and you're doing the same thing over and over again. You might find that you're teaching the same thing all over again, or you just feel like you're working all the time but you're not really getting anywhere and you're constantly stressed or worried. So I always say go back to your foundations. For me, I think that is just a no-brainer. So let's go back to our foundations and see what we've got in preparation for ratings and assessment. So what skills do you have in your service? So have a look, and we'll start with the leadership team. Have a look at the leadership team and look at where their strengths are, and look at potentially where their gaps are. So if you've got, let's just say, one coordinator for now, so you've got one coordinator, but you're getting this regular problem through, that doesn't mean that your coordinator is incompetent or doesn't know anything. That means your coordinator has a gap either in their skills or their knowledge. So that's what we need to do first. We need to look at the leadership team, and we need to figure out where their gaps lie. So, are they able to mentor educators to get the right, outcomes from the educators? Does their contract and their position description and their actual day-to-day job, do they all marry up? Does everybody know who's meant to be doing what, and does everybody know who is meant to be reporting to? Is it clear the governance structure? Is it clear the reporting mechanisms? Is it clear people's responsibilities? If not, then part of this skills review should be your policies and procedures. So we'll look at that. We'll look at your policies you will look at your policies and procedures. We'll do that. So once and I've got another video on here around doing a gap analysis. So once you have a look at that, there's more supports to get a gap analysis done. So we'll have a look at that. Then we'll look at your educators. So if you've had any non-compliances or any spot visits or anything along those lines over the past, whatever, I would go back 12 months or 2 years, depending on how many you've experienced. And I would look at some of those key things that the department has found during their visits and look at why that happened. Now, they may be rectified, and hopefully they are rectified, but why did that happen? Why did it take the department to come in and find that a working with children check was out of date? Or why did it take the department to come in and say that the educator's program isn't up to standard? Or why did it take the department to come in to determine that an educator's home wasn't safe enough? So what went wrong in your leadership, in your policies, in your recruitment, in your induction? What went wrong that the department came out and still found something that wasn't quite right, so which will keep you at working towards? So we're trying to get everybody up to meeting ideally, particularly once we get over the corona and all those sorts of things. So have a look at your policies and procedures. Then have a look at, as I said, any reports from any spot visits or those sorts of things. But you should keep very clear documentation on your monthly home visits, or however often you visit an educator. Every time you visit an educator, you should keep notes on what was discussed, if any resources were provided, anything along those lines, so that you can keep a record of the support that you've given to each particular educator. Go back over those records, go back over those home visits, and have a look at what are the consistencies that you're seeing. So I can't spell and talk at the same time. So what are those consistencies that you're seeing? Are you seeing 30% it's program? Are you seeing 2% it's health and safety? Are you seeing 7% that it's the outdoor environment? Are you seeing 100% that it's governance and leadership, because they're not following what's happening here? So is it quality area 7 that's not translating well down to your educators? So that's what we need to look at. Then I want you to have a look at how are you utilising your quality improvement plan. The quality improvement plan should be, ideally, it's designed to be a part of everything that you do, and it's what we would consider a living document. So it's always moving, always shifting, writing on it, putting notes on there. It's a living document. So number one, how are you doing that? I think you should, that everybody, if you're not already, one of the tips from me is get your quip out to your educators. Don't give your educators every quality area in the full template. Once you go through this and you do a little bit of a gap analysis, pardon me, give whatever quality area, one quality area, maybe two quality areas. You might give one quality area to 5 educators, and you might give 2 quality areas to 10 educators, and you might give 2 to 10. You might have, so you're going to have, if you've got 15 educators, let's say, you might have 15 people working on different things, or whatever that is. So you would look at these consistencies and cover them off. So the strategy behind that is that an educator who's already feeling overwhelmed doesn't get a whole quip to work with, and a lot of that is yours to do anyway as the service provider, but they can look at what they can control in their house. And the coordinator, whose delegated role is to make sure that the educators are meeting the legislation, can work with each individual educator and say, well, this is the standard, this is your environment, how do we marry those two up? What is it that you need to do? So the educator might recognise that they need further training, or they might need additional resources, or whatever. And how are they going to do that? They might need to budget $20 a week. They might need to attend a training session. They might need to look at their age groups. They might need to look at all sorts of things. So that in that way, so we're engaging the educators more as we go. Now, so not only are we engaging educators, what I want the coordinators to do here is make sure every time they go out to visit an educator and they are working on their quip with the educator at an individual level, the coordinators are having conversations based in the standards, which will then in turn prepare your educators for the assessment visit. So should the assessors ask them questions and engage them in conversations, they're not like deer in headlights. They're able to deal with that. They've now got those professional skills because you've given them to them through this leadership team, through this strategy. So then we move on to your improvement. So once you get all of this information back, so you might get a whole range of information back because you've got 15 people now giving you different bits of information. Get all that together, collate that, have a look at each quality area, the feedback that each quality area has given you through the educators and the coordinators, and look at what you can do in order to achieve that. So let's just say you've given quality area 1 to 5 educators. When those 5 educators return their quality area template to you, you might find that there's 1, 2, 3 more. You might find that there is 1 or 2 themes in that they're not getting. So the theme could be observations. So then we know. So our improvement is we need to improve on our observations. So how are you going to do that? Do you have the skills to conduct a training on observations? Is that what that is? Or do you need to modify the way that you ask educators to do observations? Or what is it that you need to do in order to get these people up to this next standard of meeting? And it's not always training. A lot of people think it is. I've got other videos. If you want to share them around to educators, that's absolutely fine. But there might be other ways that you can support educators in order to do that. You might want to change around your templates, maybe the templates are making educators feeling a little bit stifled. We don't know what that is until we look at it. So then you need to plan that out. So with all of this would also give you, so let's just say that would give you then your training topics. Now, as I said, it doesn't have to be training. So I'm going to say training or support. So that will give you your training and support topics. So you might then say, well, everybody's missing, the feedback that we've got is 30% of educators need additional support with observations. You might hold one training session and the leadership team, you might train them up in observations so that they can disperse that information when they go out and to conduct visits. Your training topics, you might find that 3 educators have given you back quality area 4, let's say. So then you help them with that. So that could be the their educator assistant, what are they doing with that? How can they help them? What is it that where their boundaries stop and start kind of thing. So you might send out a fact sheet for that. You might develop a fact sheet for your educators and send that out. And then you monitor the improvements as you go. So you can have a whole range of things going on if we engage your educators here. If you do come up with consistencies that you need, that you see consistent issues throughout the quality improvement plan, then you could help that with your training plan, which you could be, okay, this week we're doing observations, in a month's time we're going to do learning theories, in a month's time we're going to do children's health and safety. So this would help you plan your annual training plan or your 6-month training plan or your 3-month training plan even, which will help you as a business budget for it, book in quality providers. There are certain things that you can't do yourself, so do you need to find a reputable provider that can come out and deliver training for you? What is that topic? I don't deliver all topics, so we don't always have all of the skills. So if there's anything, if you need any help, I can help you, but I can also tell you where to find other trainers also. So what is that? So this is what we'd be looking for now. So you find that's like your analysis here. So look at your individuals and what they're doing and what they've done. And is this correct? If you find that your leadership team, their position description, their contract and what they're actually doing every day isn't matching, then there's something wrong here. There's something wrong right back down here in your recruitment, your engagement, your induction, your documentation, your governance. There's something wrong back here in your governance. If you find that people aren't implementing the policies and procedures, again, it's back it's back here in your governance. It's again your recruitment, your induction, your ratification of policies, your communication strategy that you should have within your business, all those sorts of things. So this is my top 3 tips of getting started, getting ready for your ratings and assessment. And as I said, once you build this strategy into your service and your business, you'll find that this will flow, and everything's a challenge when you first put it in, and you might have to shape it and mold it just to suit you, but this will work wonders if you get this up and running. If you've got any questions, I've got some links down here. Get in touch and we'll see how you go, but hopefully you can do this. And if you need support, I am here, but this should really be part of your quality improvement process. Done. All right, have a great day. See ya. Bye.